So the interesting problem that reinsurers generally have is that we are quite removed from the end customer. Between us and the end customer is normally an insurance company of some sort, which puts us in an interesting position to how do we test these new concepts, how do we develop concepts like this so that they are relevant for the insurance customer. And really it comes through partnerships, working with our insurance customers. And really that's where Swiss Re is focusing, is how are we building our partnerships with the direct insurance companies to bring solutions to the market that are not only good for the insurer, but good for the industry. And I think that as a reinsurer is a position we can take a bit more, is make sure the industry as a whole is working quite well. And a topic that's as important as the Internet of Things and all the wearables and all the subcategories of that is really critical for us to make sure we get it right. There are a lot of pitfalls to be had with customers around stuff like data protection, data privacy. So Swiss Re's role is actually, in a large way, keeping that oversight between what's happening in the market and developing propositions together with our partners that make sense to the end consumer. Not just in terms of price, but in terms of product. What is it delivering? Is it beneficial to all parties involved? Stable market, all that kind of stuff. So it's a very important topic for Swiss Re in partnership with the insurance companies.
When we were talking a few months ago, I know you mentioned that you were doing some R&D projects, and I appreciate that's not your kind of day-to-day job, but can you give us a sense of what stuff you have been working on, what stuff you're working on going forward?
So in terms of, I guess, emerging risk scouting, that is more, I work with people in the company, sort of what's coming up in terms of a risk. But in terms of delivering actual tangible projects into the market, that's really what I'm involved in with Swiss Re. So working with these partners and with our company entities to bring actual solutions to the market. And also be talking about that a bit today. So what do you do with the Internet of Things? You know, there are basically different groupings of things you can do. Somehow everybody's always focused on discounts, so find the healthy lives and discounts. What they often forget is that for every person that we now know is healthier than we thought they were and we can give a discount, we also know there are people who are not as healthy as we thought and we should load. And a lot of people get excited about the discounting and not so happy about the loading, but you cannot discount everybody. It's not sustainable. And it's very difficult in terms of experience to nail down exactly how much is it really improving your actual probability of getting disabled, getting ill, dying and so on. But there's so many other opportunities, and really that's where I'm focusing at the moment. How are you leveraging that technology and that data to engage customers in a completely different way and become relevant as an industry again? And then the second one is, how do you segment your customers, which is important to engaging. Who are these people? You have a much better understanding. We used to have hard data, like in terms of death rates and survival rates. Now we have more behavioral data, and that's created a whole new dimension for the insurance industry to leverage.
Now you touched on some interesting areas there, you know, obviously on pricing, I guess, and customer interaction. How do you see IoT changing business models for the insurance community? Because I know you're speaking on this later on scrapping business as usual, really. Yep. How do you see that kind of changing now going forward?
So if you think about the insurance industry looking back, it's a bit of a cold industry. We've never had a really good relationship with our customers. From an engagement point of view, people would buy a policy. Even convincing them to buy a policy is hard work. You always have to draw on negatives, like you can die, you will leave people behind. It creates a very negative space to engage a customer. Also, we don't engage customers enough, so we become irrelevant. And I think IoT is really an opportunity to relook at what is our value proposition to the end customer. And that's really the topic of my speech. If insurance companies believe they're in the business of paying claims, then they have a very difficult future ahead of them, because I mean that's how they traditionally see themselves. IoT allows you to transcend those boundaries of a purely mathematical product, essentially, that you have like a peace of mind thing, and actually bring the empathy into an industry that's driven by logic. And that's really the opportunity that exists within IoT.
You talk opportunity. What's the danger if the insurance industry doesn't adopt IoT? I mean, I guess we're already seeing technology companies, you know, they're seeing this whole insurtech trend. What's the danger if insurance decides, you know what, IoT, that's not for me?
Well, danger is quite difficult to how do you say, nail down at this point, is Because some people might have a valid sort of idea of how can they exist without Internet of Things. My challenge to them would just be, how do you understand your customer better? What else is out there that gives you the same kind of relationship to your customer and the same understanding for your customer on a behavioral basis that IT can give you? So the danger is, if you don't adopt it, is you might lose that connection to people that people are craving. People are social animals. You see the rise of the social media platforms. People are sharing, people are communicating. And unless you have a viable alternative to IoT, I'm not quite sure what you're going to do to be relevant in that space. There are a lot of pitfalls for the companies in terms of data privacy, data security, which we have to solve together. But not getting involved, or at least getting involved in trying things out, is a very dangerous move.
Oliver, really appreciate your time today. Good luck with the presentation, and I'm sure I'll see you around later today.
Brilliant, thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot.